The imagination can perhaps be excused if it daydreams now and then. That is, if it does not cautiously hold itself inside the limits of experience. For it will at least be enlivened and strengthened through such free flight, and it will always be easier to moderate its boldness than to remedy its languor. That the understanding, however, which is supposed to think, should instead of that daydream. For this it can never be forgiven, for all assistance is setting bounds where needed to the revelry of the image depends on it alone. Immanuel Kant. As much as we dwell in our thoughts and desires to wander to the far reaches of our imagination, we are still bound by the limits of our moral boundaries that prevent us from making those crucial choices. Don't allow our reasons for our promiscuous thoughts undermine our morals. For every wrong deed executed, there has always been that instantaneous individualistic moment that questions our actions. The defense of involuntary action is just a defense to find an excuse for a momentary lapse in judgment. But even that lapse is a cause or an event that resulted from a choice. How does a court determine justice when a defense of mental lapse is presented? Whatever the crime was, no person could have been privy of it except the perpetrator. I beg to differ on such a defense as only as a ruse to offer an alternative to a predetermined act, an act that leads to a result. Accidents that occur, like a wrong turn on a road that leads to a vehicular homicide, is still argued as involuntary. Strange, isn't it, when the choice was still made to make that illegal turn? I am not a legal expert, but I am not offering a legal discourse. I am making a point to support my argument based on our choices. The question arises whether there was an intent to cause harm. I am sure when we made the illegal turn, there was no intent to cause an accident. But here is the moral question. We allowed our objective moral choices to be sidelined to make the illegal turn, which led to an accident as an outcome. What am I driving at? The point is that we allow ourselves to fall into a quandary of our own desires within this secular world that feeds on our moral choices. It attempts and lures us into a false comfort of materialistic and desires of the flesh that make us ignore any moral boundary. These decisions are the first steps along a road that leads to ultimately an accident. Sometimes never realizing that the first choice was the catalyst into our depravities that lead us to the accident. Involuntary? I don't think so. Now, why even allow ourselves that wrong choice to make when we are given that freedom to choose, when God Himself gave us the moral essence in choosing the right way? Don't blame anyone but yourselves for all the agony when the accident finally occurs. It is within the moral, objective, absolute that is part of our very intrinsic essence of being human, a gift gifted from God, which unfortunately we have used for our own needs and desires. Setting aside any moral standard as long as it fits our own needs and wants in this life, and never looking forward to the life to come.